It says we're live. Hopefully we're live. If you guys get in here, always let me know audio's good. Yes, I'm in the dark, a little different. Got the phone on the tripod here, but it was the best I could do. I got the TV behind me. I tried, but it's not cooperating. So I wanted to talk to you about truck layout a little bit and some of the benefits of some of these trucks. I'm starting a little earlier today. I am Dave with Affordable Door and Gate. So Nathan kind of inspired this. I got to email him back, but you guys are always more than welcome to email me at the daveadubson@gmail.com. It can be personal. It can be whatever you want. So right here, we're looking at, let's get into it. We are looking at a Ford Ranger. Yes, it's a Ford Ranger. So you can see I got some of the tools. The bucket, if you look at that bucket right there, that bucket has been very helpful over the years. That was probably one of the best inventions. I don't want to say I took all of it because obviously Husky made the thing, but the bucket works really good. Now, obviously got to have your power tools. Every vehicle is laid out different. It really is. It's all a preference. So now we're jumping into the truck, right? And we're going to kind of go down this line. And so we got the truck here, right? Now it depends on what you do. I used the truck for personal and I used it for business when I had it, right? I personally think the truck is garbage. I really do. And here's why. So with the truck, the only one benefit it had is if you're doing a lot of construction. And I mean, it's got to be so worth it, right? But typically the contractor, whoever already makes a driveway there, because other people have to get in there. So 4-wheel drive, that was the only real big benefit. Another thing is actually the motor, right? It's a diesel motor. Yeah, you can get some of those in the vans and whatnot, but it was just a powerhouse, right? But it also came with a very, very hefty bill. So you're going to see in this, in some future pictures here that are coming up, how I kind of had it laid out, but the truck just didn't work for me. It really didn't. It sat up too high. It was one of those things I learned from my uncle years ago. He always worked out of like a Blazer. And, comment below. Let me know what you work out of. And he always told me, he said, hey, the nice thing is, he says, I can reach everything, and he has a very valid point with that. He said, I can open up the doors. I can open up the hatch. I can reach everything without climbing in. The trucks are they're very cumbersome. Okay. So I believe this is called a load and go. And I bought this out of, I believe it was Arizona. You'd have to do some Google research on it. The company I worked with, they build these things, right? These insert, but there might be somebody out there that just has been looking for a solution. And so I tell you what, I remember it just came to me when I first purchased this, right? I got not my first, but I had a service call and I was so excited to use it. I remember I hopped in the truck. And I remember this thing, I didn't put a board in front of it and it smashed out my back window. Couldn't believe it, right? I caught the light, had to do the emergency, kind of hit the brakes, between the yellow and the red. And that thing comes sliding and pow, blew the back window right out. Couldn't believe it. What a mess. So that was one pitfall with it. But you can see there's actually, I don't know if I can point out the mouse right here, but these were actually where you put your forklift. If you had a forklift or a skid steer, could pick it up. My forklift was a little underpowered. I think I got a picture of that in this slide, but I would stick my sawhorses right here. And then there was little compartments here, I had where had my cord. This is the flap that's up. So this would also help keep the debris out of the back of your truck from blowing in here. And this thing slides out. This is the lever you pull right here to actually open this thing up. So here's a good example of this truck, right? I remember I inserted this bin that we had at the shop. This thing slid out, right? There's a little bit of a hazard. But I remember this truck was just always full. It was just always full. I ended up putting garage door sections up here on the top and to help keep out the weather, right? Because we get snow in Michigan. And we had the tubes and stuff, but it gave us more of a surface area up there. But everything you put in this truck wanted to blow out of it. So you couldn't throw cardboard back there. You couldn't, your tools were always at the mercy of being, taken. It just didn't work. It sat up too high. That was the biggest pitfall of this thing. And so that's why we went into the vans, but you can see how kind of this truck is laid out a little bit with some of the stuff. Probably got another bucket back here full of some probably some rollers and stuff like that. This truck just could never hold enough. You know what I mean? But it was at the time I thought it was a good theory because, you know, I can use the truck universal. You know what I mean? I can use it for personal. I can still use it for camping and hunting and, the dunes and stuff like that. But it, it just became such a problem child with the insert in this thing. It sounds good in theory. This is actually another picture of it at nighttime when I used to work for the car wash. Worked for the car wash. I worked for the car wash. Definitely did a lot for the car wash. A lot of late nights, but for some reason, I don't know why, if my other truck either sold or if it was in the shop, because it was in the shop at one time because it's a diesel, and now all the newer diesels really stink with all the emissions on them. But this truck, I don't know if it was because I couldn't have the flap or the flap was trying to keep stuff from blowing out. Maybe it couldn't close with this, but this is obviously a Chevy half ton. And I put a ladder rack. You can see now. See, this truck wasn't so bad because it sat lower. So you could reach things. But, you know, I'm telling you guys, if you're getting into it or you're doing the garage doors at least, you can't do this upper stuff, man. You'll damage doors up on the top. It's it's a nightmare to get garage doors off that stuff. You'll slide, you scratch them, you kink them. I've had them kink, especially if you try to ever use this truck for an employee. They're not as careful if you have a helper with you. I've had that literally. Them kink it when they're bouncing the door, trying to get it off by themselves, or two men even. It's problematic. These hooks can be a problem if you're trying to slide something over. It's just not very friendly. Okay, so here's an older picture. This thing was so heavy after I put springs and stuff in it because in that I believe in the drawer, I actually had springs, garage door springs, and you can see how this would telescope over this ladder rack here. And then I literally had to put, I don't know if I had water in there or what I had in there. Assuming there's water, but I made this little adapter in the back of my uh, forklift. And because I, as funny as it sounds, I used to grab the wife or one of the kids or whoever. And I'd say, "Hey, jump on the back." I said, I need to get my thing out. So I needed just a little bit more counterweight. And this was a good scissor or a forklift, man. The darn thing, it blew a cylinder out or something. It was too much to repair. I wish I would have just fixed it on my own because I only paid like $800 for it. It was a good deal. And I already modified it to fit in 7-foot doors. I chopped the whatever you call this, your head rack or headache rack. But so this thing has side compartments. I think I got another shot. You can see how the fender wells are right here where it dishes out. And then I put this on here, the skirt. Pay attention to this right here. That skirt was there because to keep the darn wind from blowing in here. The wind would come over the truck. And like I said, I'd lose ladders. Anything it seemed like you put back here, it would scoop that thing out and blow it out off onto the highway. It didn't matter. So I was trying to deflect that wind. And I think it did help, but I still always had um, that fear. So here's another view of it with the forks in it. And like I said, this might be something. I think this thing ran. I think it was around 8 or 10,000. That was back in the day. So that thing probably runs all of 10 to 14. So you got to think about it, right? $10 to $14,000. That's a lot of money. You could buy a nice service vehicle used for that. And then, the resale on this is they're not very high. You're going to probably cut it in half by the time you try to end up selling this thing. The price is just not going to be there. So it's just something to think about. Like I said, the flaps up that way I can stick the forks in. I think I ordered it this way with the rack here. So I wouldn't smash out the back window, but it's funny how the thing ended up smashing out the back window anyways. So let's see if there's anything else on here. Like I said, it had the nice, use this right here a lot for grabbing to get up on it. But of course you got to have the surface area for it too, right? You got pavement, you got level ground. There's a lot of factors that go into this. So, I'm not going to go into too much on, I know Nathan's talking about like layout of the van and stuff like that. I don't really have too many pictures of that. And like I said, I'm not over at the shop to show it, but it really is it's just a preference. It really isn't. I mean, these were pretty nice, these compartments. I would have definitely done it differently, which would have added more money to it. I would have literally bought the bigger compartments and they actually make a roll up door basically style that goes over this. I would have done that, and then it's lockable on the backside. I forget how it does it. It, like, flips up here, and then it kinda pulls back, so you can kinda get up in there. I would have definitely done that. It's thousands of dollars plus. I don't know how many, but it's definitely 2 to 4 or more. I know that. I about guarantee that. But this thing was very well built. I mean, Load and Go, they did a very nice job. I mean, the product was it was nice. It came this, I believe it was already Rhino liner like this too. But I ended up I ended up selling it. Like I said, didn't make no money on it. Basically, lost money. I used it for I think a couple years. It just got to be such a pain, And then you always had to depend on the forklift too, right? If the forklift didn't run, or it was cold, or out of gas, or there was all kinds of variables that ran into it. So you always had to be at the mercy of that forklift. And I only had one. I have a skidster at the time, so I was always nervous that if this thing went down, I can't get my tools. Especially on the end of a Sunday, trying to. So here's one for Nathan. I just wanted to show the gate operator, and it'll kind of tie into another picture that comes up. But here's when we kind of upgraded into the service vans, and what a life changer! What a life changer! The service vans, just the beautiful thing, that the only thing you ever really put up on top, you don't put your garage doors up there, is you put your ladders and stuff, right? And they typically are designed. There's already manufacturers out there that make them so they the everything clips on there. It just bolts on there the way it should. It's not a very good picture. Next one should come up here shortly. But it just the vans just work so much nicer for us. I mean, everything's inside. Everything's starting to get lukewarm from when you're driving it. In the wintertime. Yes, it's noisy. So if you got to be a secretary, that's probably not the way. But what I would do is I would actually literally invest. I don't have it in front of me. I got a nice headset that I use that's for truckers. It's I think it's a Blue Parrot, I believe, and it drowns out a ton of noise. And that's the way to go. You keep yourself linked up to that, and you can use that while you're talking to. And I like it because it's both. I'm not a very good person for just the one ear. I'm right here somewhere. Hi, I'm still here behind the camera. Ah, now, oh, this makes me feel good. Yes, right here. This is the cat's meow. This is called a cutaway van. And I got this van for a steal. I know I paid, gosh, I think I paid 5,200 bucks for this van. Um, and it just ran like a top. I believe it had I don't think this one had a six. No, it was a five. It was a five something in there. And of course, it's a Ford. But these compartments, oh my gosh. I had mine right here. This is my garbage can, this bucket right back here, a 5-gallon bucket. And then all my power tools are right here. And this works as a tailgate. And I cannot tell you guys enough that tailgates are just wonderful. And I'm not talking about a pickup truck. I'm talking about with a van. So you could pull up sideways next to things, right? Because typically with a truck, you don't back the hiney up to it, whatever you're doing. And like if you had that pull-out drawer, like that other one I was just showing you, the stuff was in the way. You couldn't do that. So these shelves are so nice to have these little drop downs, put your tools while you're working, a little music, maybe a little boom box going. You got the doors. I think I was going to mention one of the other ones. You got this big foot plate. Look how big this is. Your boot fits on this thing, fits completely on this to get into this van. So here's another shot working at a gate. I got the door open probably because I'm listening to some tunes. But you got to be careful of doing that kind of stuff. You'll drain your battery. But look at it, the compartment's open. I think I got, looks like a table probably sitting there. I don't know what that was. And so, I mean, it's just, I probably forgot a bucket to sit on. So I'm just using the cooler, bring my little lunch to go. I don't know what else is in here. Obviously doing a gate operator and gate. But what I do recommend with these is get a dually if you can afford it, because only one negative that I found with this van is that I think the back end is bigger because I think it's 10 foot inside here, which is really nice. You can haul a lot of stuff, but they're a little bit squirrely if you're hauling a trailer with a scissor lift. I would love to try a dually. I never got my hands on one. Um, but I'd like to try one. It just seems a little loose. Now, I had to get it modified to have a trailer hitch on there. and it was like the cross beam was there, but the hitch part wasn't. So I had a welder. The guy does my welding. He fabricated something. We got lights on it. It would do it. But if you were trying to travel distance, if you're in a rural area, see, and here's the hitch. I don't. It just I didn't like it that much. It was just because it almost felt like this axle just didn't have enough to it. I mean, you got to think with all this stuff. I mean, this thing's loaded with springs and tools. I mean, you can fit so much more in these cutaway vans. I cannot tell you, you could do a dance in here. Now, if you're a big hot shot and you can get one that's even got the little bit taller roof, oh man, that's the money right there. I'm telling you, because this thing had a sliding door, right? So some of those guys, I don't want to listen to the noise. It gets cold. I like it. Well, that sliding door shuts and it's almost like a sealed door. It's a pretty nice door. So you got some privacy if you need to come back here and use the restroom or something. That's nice. And you can get the cab warmed up nice and warm. But see, I got this door open too. I forget what I kept on this side. I think I kept most of my nuts and bolts, things like that, kind of the trinkets, electrical stuff. But this is, the ladder sit it up in here. I'd make them so they stacked, 6 footer, do a 4 footer. A lot of some of my, like, I keep an extra set of jeans and stuff in here in case something happened. I fell in a hole or just, sweating to death. So I kept a few personal things, a tote bag up in here, first aid. But these, man, and then these you can't see it, but there was locks on it. So you could lock these compartments. Now, Captain, his has got automatic locks. He can lock all his doors with a push of a button. So I'd kind of recommend that. It's a nice way to go. But see this step right here? This step, man, I'm telling you, is super nice. When I stepped on it the first time, I went, oh my gosh. I went, this is for the working man. And, it's nice that you got these, the grates on here to protect the windows. I got a big old pipe in here. I could slide it up past this a little bit. What else do we got in here? I think I got my bag at the time. I did one with a flap. I never really liked it. Got my little pouch one in case I'm doing garage doors. You got the bag here so you can, I like the wheels. So, because we do a lot of commercial. So if you got to go into a shop or something like that, I probably must have used the bucket for something else. There's the top of it for the cushion. So I don't know why I'm using a cooler. It is what it is. But, super nice. Hitches right here. Wish I had a little better shot of it, but you see the ladders are stacked one way and one the other way. Super nice. I cannot stress the cutaway vans is the way to go. And the garage doors will sit in here. And like I said, they're semi protected. You can throw your whatever you need in here, springs. You can throw your um, all the hardware and stuff. And you just don't have to worry about it if you got weather coming up, the rain, things of that nature. They just work so nice. This was a great, great way to go. If you got to get in tight areas, there was one just we did a long time ago with up at the old that one was a little far away, but we had the Raptor. Raptor was basically good it was a very nice truck, very powerful, but this 5.5 foot box, whatever, worthless. But I had a trailer. You can't see it over here. So I literally was pulling a trailer up there for this job, but nice ride, lots of power. But like I said, it's a truck and the truck just doesn't do so hot. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you guys carry, or what you guys do. So I think that's all I had on here. Let me check. I'll turn a little light on so we can light this up. All right, let's see what else we got on here on the old list. I don't think the camera likes us bouncing around. Holy moly. There you guys are. Whew. All right, let's go over this list. Let's take a look. Oh, yes. Yes, I wanted to tell you about this. So, with that truck set up, right? I feel like it's still dark. Is it dark? And so I remember, is that better? That's better. So I remember with the truck setup, I literally I had two openers, two resis. I had two residential garage door openers on there. And I remember it was one of those days, we had to get this job done. I feel like it was through Lowe's. I really do. Of course, we thought maybe rain was coming. So I bagged them up, right? I thought, oh, I got to put them on. So it's that whole thing, right? You got to put them on top of the truck, right? I had to put them on top of the rails. I thought, well, I'm gonna put garbage bags around them just in case it rains, right? I don't want them getting wet. I don't want circuit board going bad or something. And so I remember I bagged them, I strapped them on top of that ladder rack. We go whipping down the highway. And guess what? Those bags turned into parachutes. Of course, I'm in a truck, right? Music's blaring. I got a guy with me. We're yakking. We're just having a jolly old time. Well, it turned into a parachute. Next thing I know, it threw it off the truck, right? But of course, it doesn't like throw it all the way off the truck. No, no, no. The pull cord, right? The pull cord literally has to catch something in the crease. And I remember it caught it. And then the opener, right? It's back there like a tail. Just right? Cars are swerving, right? People are going past me. They're honking. They're all basically flipping me off. And so I remember, I'm like, holy crap, dude, man, we just lost an opener. No way. Yeah. Of course, my luck, right? With that setup, number 2 flies off. So I lose 2 openers, right? So now we can't even, well, I think what we did is it cost more time. So we stop at Lowe's, the one that's closer because we were a little ways away. And we decided to grab 2 openers that now we got to assemble, right? The reason we had these ones already assembled because it's going to save, 20, 30 minutes on the job and we could just slam them out. So now I got these busted up openers that I think my one buddy he got a discount on them. And so anyways, yeah, so it wasn't good. It wasn't good. So they got destroyed. Oh man. So that insert that you were seeing, like I said, it seemed like you had to always leave somebody in the truck. You're always paranoid, right? That something was going to get stolen. So another thing I wrote on this list, trucks, right? Pickup trucks in general. Pickup trucks always have mud in them, right? If you can even buy good floor mats, but it doesn't fail with the floor mat that you put in it. It's like you're always like you open the door, and with a pickup truck, it always seems like because they sit up a little higher, you're always staring at the floor mats, and it looks disgusting. You know what I mean? And then once they get bad enough, you got to smell them and everything else, right? Especially if you got carpet. Carpet's no good. So another thing with the service vans, they normally have rubber floors, which is beautiful. So you can wash them out, you can wipe them down. And with the vans, what I found out too, right? The service vans or even the cutaway van that I had, they typically got that dished out spot, right? There's like a step before you get into the platform where your feet are going to sit for your control pedals and everything else. That is really nice. So I like the van for that setup too. You know what I mean? Because it just helps keep out some of the dirt and the mud. And when you get up there, you can kind of stomp your feet. You can kick them off the side of the vehicle to get some of the stuff out. But you just have that step, man. I'm telling you, that's a really nice feature. All right. So what else do we got on my list here? Like I said, in the truck, everything blows out. I don't know why. It's just the way it was for me. I remember I literally was going down the highway and I lost a 6-foot ladder. It blew out. The guy I was with, right? All of a sudden, and I seen something in the rearview mirror. I just didn't know what it was. I said, "Whoa, man!" I said, "Something blew out." And he goes, looks in the mirror, right? And he's like, "Oh man!" He goes, "It's gone. Don't even try." Well, of course, the highways, they probably got them like that around you too. Is they ended up deciding to put cables up. We can't turn around nowhere. So I literally got to go all the way down this highway, then turn around somewhere at an off ramp, come all the way back past, right? And then turn around. And the problem was it was rush hour traffic on a Friday. It was no good. It was no good. It was gone. He seen it. He goes, it went under a semi. He said it exploded. Now, luckily, it didn't go through somebody's windshield. Luckily, it didn't kill anybody. I mean, these are just, and so, that vehicle you're responsible for. So that's just something you got to consider. So that's why the vans. I'm telling you, I just love the vans. That's just me, and I know that everybody's, and like I said, if you got a reason, comment below. Like I said, let me know. Say, hey, the truck, I really like my truck. I've had service van. I think a lot of guys are missing out, right? It's kind of an ego thing, right? It's kind of like the whole minivan, right? Like, who wants to drive a minivan? But I tell you what, minivans, especially for the families and stuff, they work great. Well, why do they work great? Well, for one, they got sliding doors. And if you got kids, you know what kids do with doors? Wham, wham. You go to a parking lot, you go to the grocery store, wham, wham. That's what they do, right? You're always telling them, hey, don't hit the next car next to it. Hey, watch, it's windy, you know. And like I said, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? It's who cares? It's it's a vehicle. It's a depreciating asset. It's something that does not put money in your pocket. It takes money out of your pocket. So remember that. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got here. See if this is working. I think it's working. So, all right, let's check at the lane. So I already told you the van. I love the little tailgates that flip down. Those were amazing. The step in the back, absolutely even more amazing. Recommend. Oh, that's right. The dually. Don't forget, if you got the money, you find one that's a good deal. I know dualies are more on tires and everything like that, but I think it'd be more stable. I think the cutaway van, the way it was already loaded that I had originally, I think it was just too much, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I think I had her weighed down a little bit on the hefty side, and so I shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? And dually, just a bigger axle would have been a lot nicer. Okay, it says make sure between cab. What does this say? Make sure it has sliding door. Oh, that's right. So with the cutaway, you want to make sure you got uh it's a good idea to make sure you got that sliding door. That sliding door is really key. I think Cap's van actually has he actually has a seat cushion there. And so he can't I don't think he can shut his door. And he was talking about removing it, but he decided not to, I think. So, use your best judgment. You know what I mean? It's just, but I like the sliding door because I use that thing a couple times where I'd slide it because I'm in somebody's, property or whatever. And it's like, the bathroom calls and you can shut that. Mine was always a little dirty and scratched up from the previous owner. That worked out kind of nice, a little privacy. So sometimes you got to, when you got to do to do, you got to do to do. Let's see here. We got locks. Yes, the locks were really nice on it too. With a couple strokes on the back of it, you could literally you could push in these handles, and they actually had padlocks, and you could put a padlock in there and lock the whole side of that van down on the cutaway part. The truck had its own normal, lock system, I guess you'd call it. I didn't have power locks. Mine, everything was key, which I didn't mind. It worked really good. So really, I had to lock. I think it had power locks in the front. So you hit the power lock to lock your front doors. You just run to the back. I had a couple master locks back there. And so I had two of them. I just shut the doors. I think the key, so you had 1, 2, 3, 4. You had 4 points of locking the vehicle down, which was nice. So, Mr. Justin, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying out of trouble. So, I think that's really about all I got on the trucks and kind of the setup. I know Nathan was looking, he's looking a little more probably in depth. Like I said, if I get over maybe to the shop, you know how it is. The vans they're probably being used. They're probably messed. I know his just went into the shop. Caps did. He just got, I think he just got like $1,200 worth of work done. Due to just a little bit of front end parts and O2 sensor, nothing major. And he finally got the tires put on. So that's always good. Trying to change something real quick here. So don't mind me. Like I said, if you think of anything, excuse me, comment below. You know, what's new out there? Miss Justin, what are you doing? You been working? So let's see. I could jump off this. I wanted to edit this real quick if I could. Doot. But maybe I won't be able to. I don't know. I don't know. So Like I said, with these vehicles, it's really a preference. There's really no perfect um, solution. I think a lot of guys. I was just watching something yesterday, right? And the big thing is a lot of people don't realize that it's a matter of just doing it. I get some of you guys that'll email me and stuff, and we talk about, what do I do? How do I start? What should I do for advertising? Do I need to get all this, insurance and licensing and stuff? And I think a lot of people are forgetting that you really just need to start. You know what I mean? That's the hardest part. And just get the customers, and work at it. And you can either go at it honestly and tell people, just say, hey, look, I'm starting out. I'm, I'm new to this, I'm learning, and the one thing you got over a lot of people in a nutshell, and some people look, I would do this, you know what I mean? I would do it in a heartbeat. The price. The price is the key. People love price. Everything is price, 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 price. How much? How much? Do your service calls cheap, you know? Do same day service. Do a lot of things. I mean, you could just like say, "Hey, look, I'll come out and I'll do it." You got to pay for material. There's in long as you're learning, right? Because what a lot of people forget is you're you're getting education, right? So a lot of people go out there, right, and spend 10, 20, 30, $100,000, right? $100,000 on college, right? With no guarantee. Sad, sad, no guarantee. And they still don't even know when they get out, right? They don't even know when they get out of school, right? Because some maybe go for an attorney or something, right? And they go, "Oh crap, I live in a town or a city that's only got 3,000 people. You know, Uh, there's not going to be a lot of demand there. You know what I mean. So there might be already one or two, let's say, attorneys there. I'm just using these as examples. It's already saturated. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? So everything that you do with whatever business you're doing the garage doors, you're doing gates, you're doing fencing, whatever, you're learning. And that is priceless. You know what I mean? You can take that with you for the rest of your life. You can do that for your own, your own personal stuff. You can do that for the business. You can do that as a reference for what you got. It just so if you're starting to crack the whip, man, don't be afraid. So, Mr. Justin, heading into my last estimate, had a door and some service. Overall, good day. Nice. That's awesome, man. Be safe out there. Don't be running into nobody, and hopefully nobody runs into you. You know. So, I think estimates. Now that Justin brings that up, I watched this one guy, right? And he always does it, and maybe you can comment below with what you think. Um, estimates always, I don't know. I'm interested to know what you guys would think because he does his on Saturdays, right? And he's not a huge outfit, right, for landscaping and stuff like that. But it makes me think about, kind of, I think sometimes it's hard, and I'm guilty of it too, is to block off that time. You know what I mean? So it's, if you could, because, I mean, let's kind of face it. We know estimates they're not a waste of time. They're necessary, but we they kind of interrupt, right? Like depending on who it is, right? If it's a residential or it's commercial, you're kind of at their mercy, to some degree, right? Because they only work 8 to 5, you know what I mean? And I'm not here over the weekend. We get it off. So you gotta take that into consideration, you know. But like residential, I mean, come on. I mean, you guys let me know. let me know. I think, residential they can really waste your time. And I'm not saying like you're not going to get nothing of it, but they just, I don't know. You guys ever feel like a lot of people are kind of like not educated to some degree? And it's not like a bash. It's like, it's more like they just don't understand, like, they don't understand the business part. You know what I mean? Like they don't understand hey, you're taking time away from your family, possibly doing late night. I don't know what time it is for Justin, but like, hey, I'm normally I'd be home at 4 or 5, and now it's 5 or 6 or 7, and I'm coming out here to get this estimate done for you, and like they don't even care, right? They don't even care about you. They don't care about your business. They don't care about your family. They don't care. They just care about like, you know, what's the price? What's the bottom line? That's all I don't care about is the what how much? How much? And as soon as they look at that bottom line, right, and you're $100 more than the next guy, yeah, and you basically got nothing. Now, don't get me wrong, we got to swing, right? Sometimes you got to swing to hit a ball, but it's always interesting. Estimating is always has been a very challenging thing for even myself over the years. And for me, it's like I've gotten greedy, right? I look at it and I go, I am going to pre-qualify the crap out of you before I even leave the shop, and I will make sure I'm basically there to collect a half down, darn near. You know what I mean? And like I said, in perspective, right? Now, look, it's a widow old man. It's a sweet old lady. You can tell, right? I think that's in a different ballpark. Does that make sense? I believe in helping humanity. I believe doing the right thing. But when I learned, right, from this one lady, and she called me, I need an estimate. I mean, she was cocky, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay. I was like, yeah, I was like, we charge $30 for our estimates. Oh no, it says right here in the phone book, it's free. Yeah, it is over the phone. So, like my buddy told me, Dave. I mean, because he knew my business, right? He did the business too, right? He actually did it a little bit longer, and he's always like, dude, he's like, why in the hell are you sending 2 guys to do a 16x7 non-insulated? I'm like, I don't know, like, I just, he's like, you can do it one man. He's like, you don't need to send two. He's like, dude, he's like, why are you going out and looking at this? He goes, everybody's got a tape measure. Kind of like darn near everybody's got a toilet, don't they? Hmm. You know, and then I would see guys come in the business, right? And some guys, they do the whole like, well, that's how I land every sale. You know what I mean? Because I'll go out there and they just like me. Maybe, maybe not. I, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's just when you start getting crunched for time, like I was, right? When you're getting busy and you just don't have no time. You start using more technology to your advantage. It seems like, take a few pictures, send it to me. And I've noticed, I don't know why, but it's almost like if you do these with the customers, right? Start interacting with them. It's almost like they're on a sane basis. I don't know how to say that, but they are level-headed. Like I consider myself a pretty level-headed guy, right? Like I understand, like I call the furnace guy, I don't expect him to be here in an hour. I get that. And I'm a grown ass man that I will like I know how to, keep my house warm. I know how to make things work. I got backups, like, but that all took preparation, right? But I wouldn't be the guy that's like, like, well, yeah, my furnace just went out and I need somebody here in 20 minutes. And if you can't do it, I'll call somebody else. Like that to me would be already like, yep, we don't even want you as a customer. You know what I mean? Like, and I wouldn't understand that. So it's like you can learn so much by playing this little bit of a cat and mouse game. Okay, well, this is what I would like, and I think even for myself, at one point when I was young, like it was almost like it couldn't say no, like it was, um, I got to be their hero. And if I don't do this, right, they're not gonna use us, and but I also had a lot more time. And once I realized, like I said, you can't make more time in the world. You got 24 hours, I got 24 hours a day. It's just how do we utilize it? So it's just, you know, can you be a little bit smarter about it? And some things you can't though. Like you got to look at a big gate job, you got to walk around with somebody, a fence job, you got to look at a big multi-door, the builder. I've met with the builders all the time. You know what I mean? And it turns in, hey, can you be here like tomorrow at noon? All right, yeah, I'll see what I can do. You know. So it's no big deal. They can for sure be a waste. Luckily, it's what's it says pre-sold over the phone. Hell yeah, pre-sold over the phone. I love it. Just confirming measurements, not bad. And it's 5 here. Okay. I'll try work them in on my route. Nice. So that's perfect. Like I love hearing that. You know what I mean? It's already pre-sold. It's already like, hey, they know the numbers. I mean, the thing is like, some of these people, they have no clue. No clue. Some people think that's cheap. Some people think that's expensive when you tell them a certain thing. Listen to this, right? This is my conspiracy, whatever you want to call it. I've been thinking, right? I think it's going to come. I think it's going to come. And I'm going to mention it now. So when you guys see it, you can go, Uncle Dave told me about this and now it's here. Now I'd love to be a part of the invention of it too, if anybody's got some hookups, but I don't think I'm there. Anyways, listen, hear me out. I think what they need to do, now they're coming out, because everything is always kind of pushed a little bit and then it's retracted, right? That's pushed. It's kind of like a Walmart. I always look at it like, you know, oh, the people fought off Walmart. Yeah, they did for this year and maybe next year and maybe the third year, but like the fourth or fifth or whatever, Walmart's moving in. So you better move your house or better leave, not move your house, but pack up and leave, right? Because it's coming. So Amazon, right? Amazon's got the whole they're doing like they're delivering, right? It was kind of pushed out there, then the FAA kind of resisted it, right, for doing the drone drops, right? But come on, we know it's coming, right? I mean, why not, right? You already know you got the worker problems, you got people that don't show up, whatever sickness is going on. Heck yeah, they're going to hire these drones, right, to drop off packages, especially if it's something small and this person only orders something once a year, right? Why wouldn't you just send a drone out there to drop it off, right? And they make so much money, and then without having the workman's comp and all the liability, think about it. You know what I mean? It's they could lose it probably 3 or 4 times the packages. You know what I mean? Like somebody never showed up. They keep sending it and still be way cheaper than sending a human out there with the liability, the truck, the vehicle. The person decides to steal a vehicle and go on a hiatus or whatever and go on for a ride. Anyways, a drone, right? That has, I mean, there's stuff out there right now, like you can take pictures, right? And you can mark it out and it'll tell you the dimensions, right? I'm surprised that maybe somebody does. Maybe there's more software out there that can show like a garage door, right? You know what I mean? You can take a picture. But anyways, my point was is if you could send a drone out there, right? You sit there, type it in, a drone would go out there and it would literally go, you tell the customer, say, look, between this time or this, or when you're home, I need you to, you know, maybe have the garage door down or somebody needs to be there to interact with it. Maybe not. Maybe the door's broke and it's stuck up in the up position. You can do that too, whatever. But this drone could go and it could fly in. I always wanted it so it could just fly into the house. Now I know that'd be probably liability and stuff like that, but it could fly in there and it could just take a visual, right? And I thought this would even be great just for if they needed it. Maybe I shouldn't tell you. Maybe I shouldn't tell you this because then stuff will fruition and then everybody will hate me. But if you could do it for workers, right? But how great would it be if you could just sit behind a computer and type in your drone, right? And it would fly off and it would go out and it would look at a job for you. And I mean, even if it was something that somebody goes, well, I don't have a phone to take a picture. We don't have internet or something, blah, blah, blah. All right, whatever. Fine. I'll send a drone out there. At least we'll get a ballpark to do an aerial shot, whatever. Garage door. Maybe it goes into the garage door, or into the garage and it could take a visual of, or the when it takes that picture, you can already get the screenshot, right? But with most garage doors, I mean, I've gotten pretty good. I think 9 times out of 10, right? I can predict what the radius of the track is by the flag bracket. That's how I identify it. I don't know if that's 100% proven, but I can see that 12-inch radius. Typically, the flag bracket I always figure has a brace. You know what I mean? Has the back kicker. I don't want to say kicker. It's a flag, but it's flag, right? It has two spots to mount. If it's 15, it sits on the very tippy top. That's 15-inch radius. So, in a nutshell, too, you could probably do it with a customer, right? If they could just take a few pictures of the inside, outside. But don't get me wrong. I've had some customers, right? You get those doors, right? Those garage doors. So Justin, good job, with obviously, you go out there and you measure it and it's not quite 7 foot, right? It's 6, 8 or whatever for the height. And you better order that door correctly because you don't want the squares. I've done that when I was a newbie, right? You put the door up, right? You go to put the weather seal on, the weather seal's on the raised panels. You're like, oh man, that kind of looks like crap. Well, like I said, you didn't catch it. You just threw a tape up there and went, oh, it's 6'9" something. Which just remember, boys and girls, they typically go by 3-inch increments, so you can get 6'3", 6'6", 9, and up to 7, which is 6'12", whatever you want to call it. So just something to think about. But I always just thought it'd be really cool if you could start ordering a drone, you know what I mean? And can you imagine what the skies are going to be like then in the future? You're going to be sitting at home, outside, have the day off or something, sitting by a little kiddie pool. You thought airplanes were bad, and then you get the neighbor that's, checking out your girlfriend or wife, another drone sitting there. What the heck's this one sitting here for? And they'll come up with a law that you can't shoot them down. Things I think about at night. Okay, what's he got here? What's Mr. Justin? Just wanted to say thank you for your video. Be starting my own gig. Ooh, nice. Is this I can't really say, is it Kenny? There's like 2 N's in there. I'm pretty much brain dead. Start my own gig on the weekends soon, hopefully to become something more. You've been a great inspiration. Oh man, I really appreciate that. I really do. That's what, those are the things right there that really that help me keep making the videos. Cause you'd be amazed. Sometimes you don't get feedback. Right. And, as a Kingsman. And so, it's great. It's just great to have the feedback because, uh, it's just inspirational. It really is because there's a lot of knowledge up here, and I just don't want some people to have to go through all the pain that I went through. You know what I mean? And trust me, I'm, still learning as we speak. I learned from you guys. I learned from my own experiences. And so, oh, Kingsman. Okay. I see it at the bottom here. It threw me actually for a second because when I seen that, it made me, I think it was King's Men or something like that. That was the guy that ramsacked my truck. So I heard that. I thought, and he already started it, and I think the business already closed. He was a not a good dude, you know what I mean? And it was not. He burned a lot of bridges. But with you, hey, that's awesome. So you're a long ways away. uh, it says I had 5 years with the green team. I think I can do better. What's a green team? That one throws me a little bit, but yeah, that's the way to do it. I've been trying to tell other people. I got some um, people that have reached out to me, and I can tell there's just so much fear, and you just you don't really want to do what I did, which was I jumped in with both feet. If you can do it on the weekends and things like that, you're really better off, because then you can start experimenting and you can start feeling it out. And oh, the green team, I got it. Oh yes, yes. Oh man, hey, Kingsman, you should email me sometime because I would love to get some feedback from you about what their procedures. You know what I mean? That's something that's always, I'm assuming obviously they're kind of a franchise, but what did they do, to motivate you? Um, and I'll type it in here. I don't know if I say it too, but sometimes it gets missed. I'll give you my cell phone, and I'm fascinated because I've come across those before, right? And I've had like old ladies and stuff, and they'd be like, they wanted $600 to change out my springs, and I'm like, $600. And I mean, it's like a 9x7 door. Now, mind you, this was quite a few years ago, and I'm like, I can buy a whole new door for $400. And I'd be like, well, yeah, we could like install like a new door for like $700, and then you get a whole new door. And she's like, that's why I called you guys, because I just thought that was a little bit expensive. Or I'd have some I went to, and they would be, like they already did it, and it was kind of the gimmick of like they would, how was it? They do like the spring, and then they do the rollers, and then my guess is obviously they try to do they push like a lifetime warranty, like an AutoZone. It's just my guess. And then it's more or less like they go, they assume that the customer is going to pass away, or the customer is going to move, or that they're going to miss the paperwork, or they're going to forget. And that's kind of the gimmick, right? But the customer sits there and goes, wow, a lifetime. I don't want this to ever happen again. The spring that broke really interrupted my doctor's appointment. That was just my own theory. You know what I mean? So that's cool. Anyways, you can always screenshot it. Let me see if I can write. I'll type it in just so they got it too. There you go. There you go. There's my phone number. There's my cell. And obviously I know like Jason's one of them. Jason's a really cool dude. Um, he whatever, he contacts me, but he always calls me, and I don't ever answer because my phone is always on silent. It's always, unless I know you're going to call, pretty much, which I do check my phone, periodically, but sometimes it can be 30 minutes. It could be 2 hours. I don't check my phone. So I try not to meditate around that thing too much. It's very addicting. So, but no, I just love to have any insight about some of the gimmicks they used, or it's always like if you ever, even if you had any paperwork left over, if you even take a screenshot of it, or a picture of it, not a screenshot, a picture of it, and it's not so much to dig on them, it's just to be more knowledgeable on it, because we got another one. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this one. Have you guys heard of ProLift? Anybody here of ProLift? That was one that just popped up. I think they've been around about 3 or 4 years now, and I'm pretty sure that's kind of a franchise one. Now the guy runs it out of, I believe he still runs it out of his house, and they seem like they got pretty good traction in the town that they are. They're not in my town, but they're a couple towns over, and I'll be a part of like the Facebook forum or something, in that area. And I'll see people recommend them quite a bit, which is good. I'm glad that they're getting good service, because honestly, I want everybody to be able to get good service. But they pop up, and I just saw, I wonder if they're going to turn into another like Precision, because Precision, the first time I ever heard of them, I'll never forget. I was down in Chicago, and I remember, like I said, when I used to go into the hotels or motels when we travel somewhere, I would always go for the phone book. That was the first thing, I go to the phone book, see what they do, and then see what they're advertising, because I always dealt with it at the time. And I remember that was where I picked up same day service. So that was a big. I was like, it's like same day service, yeah. And I thought, well, basically, I need all the business I can get right now. The phone is not ringing enough. So I thought I'm going to integrate that. So I started doing same day service. That was a big help. And then we did 24-hour. I don't think I really picked that up from them. And then when I seen this one, it was called Precision. And I thought, they got a pretty nice ad. Well, then I'd start seeing them around kind of more up my way up here in Michigan on billboards or something. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, they were down in Chicago. Of course, mind you, this was kind of before the whole internet was bigger. So, I mean, you had to, sit at a computer for 2 hours looking for them if you wanted to find them back then. Now it's a 1 minute trip on your phone. So Precision, I think I had said he thinks it's so Justin says, I don't want to pass over here. Um, Always lucky period over phone. Just confirming. Yes. And Justin says he thinks it's a 16 by 6. Ugh, ugh. Yeah, it's probably a 16 by 7. Absolutely. Hopefully. That one is definitely you better go out and do a detail. That's what we call it, detail or an estimate. But we call it detail. I picked that up. That was my kind of like resi. I like the resi, residential resi. I call them resis. Um, but yeah, you got to check that out because that's going to be a funky one. You know what I mean? And you know how it is. You're going to get that person that's going to be like, well, why don't you come out here and check it for yourself? If you don't believe me, all right, not a problem. Not a problem. I will be out there gladly. So definitely got to check that one. You know what I mean? It ain't standard. And you get these people nowadays, you get, and it's kind of nice because as we get older, you know, more of that stuff is fading out. I mean, I think the last person I knew that had a kind of a not smartphone, let's just say, was my uncle, and I think he's finally got one. Now he doesn't really use it, right? He's not a text person or anything, but he's got one. So I mean, and I think he can take pictures. I don't know if he can send them, but I know he can take pictures. But it's just as we get older, right? That's going to be a custom. I'm so used to it now, right? When I'm 80, 90 years old and you guys are messaging me about something back, take a picture. Like I did this back when I was 20. Uh percent absolutely. Lifetime. Ah, yes, lifetime. Overhaul. What does overhaul mean? Is that the name of the business or is that what you guys use for your terminology? We're gonna do an overhaul. Don't you worry, Mrs. Jones. We're gonna do an overhaul. This store is gonna be better than new. You know. uh So let's see here. Says the green team must not be able to sleep at night for the price. Oh man, isn't that crazy? You know, man, I tell you, it's. I don't know. I really don't know about that whole the green team. You know what I mean? Because on one aspect, right? On one aspect, I look at it and I go, good for them, because we always have to remember, right, that anybody can make a better hamburger than McDonald's, but can you build a better system than McDonald's, right? Like teenagers running the place. I mean, sometimes inferior people, let's just say young, don't care about their job, but their system is proven, man. And you go to one restaurant to typically the restaurant, you're going to get the same products. You know what I'm saying? That system. That's my hats off to them. Now, unfortunately for the consumer, right, the customer, it's a sham. It's not good. It's not good. But on the other aspect of it, I see this all the time, right? How do you motivate employees? So if they go in there, right, and they think, wow, I can in a sense dupe this person over and they're going to pay me the extra, right? I think Stanley Steamer is kind of the same protocol, right? Cleans your carpet. Maybe you guys don't have Stanley Steamer. Stanley Steamer kind of works in the same protocol, right? They go in there, they're always trying to give you an upcharge, right? First, it's $9.99 to do your whole house, right? And they come in, they're like, oh, well, that's just basic water, like if you want shampooing, that's another $40. Oh, well, you're already here. Oh, we do duct cleaning, that's another $80. You know what I mean? Like so, but like with precision, I'd love to know like what do they do? Like what do they do to get in the doorway in a sense? So they bank off everything, like they just run to everything. You know what I mean? They just show up no matter what they call. They don't do no pre-qualifying really. They just, we'll show up, we'll set an appointment, we'll get there. And then basically from my understanding, the person that shows up, right, is the salesman. You know what I mean? So he's hungry, right? Otherwise, like that's the stuff I'd like to know. Like, what do you guys get like on idle time? You know what I mean? When you're not producing, do you go back to the shop? Are you Do they just give you a truck? Do you pay for the truck? Do you have to have any upfront money? You got to provide your own tools. Do they provide the tools? There's kind of a lot of stuff in there. I think that'd be really helpful for people, including myself. I think it'd be great. I'd love to know because um, it's just sometimes you can take little nuggets off that and go, all right, well, that's what you kind of got to integrate into the business a little bit. So, but yeah, garage door education is, it says, yeah, I agree that garage door education is expensive. It is, everything is, it, you know, and that's what I tell my kids and stuff. I say, hey man, I say college isn't free. Go out there, make failures. If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. So go out there and swing, and you're not going to hit every ball. You know what I mean? It's just, but I see so many people just, I tell my kids, I say right here, the mind, everybody is probably watching us. And unfortunately, some people don't, right? But you all have fingers, right? You all got a nose, you all got toes, you got arms, right? You're probably better looking than me too. There's no difference. There's no difference. It's just here. It's here. It's what we do. It's what we manifest. It's what we think about. You know, are you going fishing all the time? Well, I ain't got time. Well, you're going fishing all the time. You ain't got no time. So how you gonna ever do anything else? You at the racetrack, you at the bar. I mean, it's just, what do you want? What do you want? You want freedom? Do you want to just not think? You just want somebody to tell you what to do? Then that's fine. I mean, it's just, everybody's different. And that's good. Makes things interesting. It says, I agree. It says, yeah, I'll text you sometimes in the next few days. I have the details. I bought the gimmick for a couple of years, but on my knowledge, so my manager, I knew they were scamming people. Yeah, like I said, I'd love to know anything that you can. Precision and A1 have the same sales. Oh, and A1's obviously the guy that's the one that's always, you know what I mean? Like you always see him on the, you know, he doesn't have the wood in the background. He's the one that's got the nice office and stuff or whatever. I hear a lot of stuff. I don't watch his content or anything. Because I have a feeling that he's kind of like the Grant Cardone. And Grant Cardone, he's got some nuggets, very little nuggets, right? But the overall, there's a sales pitch, right? That's kind of the thing. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to give you a sales pitch. I want to give you real life examples. I want to learn. I want to be able to help and share when people run into problems. I mean, it'd be so great. Like, I would love it at some point that I could just come out to some of your jobs. Like, if somebody says, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to get into the gates," I would love to come out there. You know what I mean? And help you walk you through it and kind of like do a job with you and nurture you. You know what I mean? Like, I think that'd be awesome because I think it'd be great content. I think it'd be learning for you. I'd love to be in different areas, anywhere in the United States, and build on that. I think that's awesome. You know what I mean? And I know it's hard. When I started, like I said, I didn't have nobody. I had my business partner at the time, which I don't recommend you do a business partner. I was one of them too. When you always remember you are you are captain of a ship, right? Or you're working under the captain of a ship, right? But there's one captain, right? And then there's like the what is it, the crew chief or whatever, you know what I mean? There's a skipper. I don't know what the names are to them all, right? But I've watched enough Deadliest Catch. I know what the hell's going on. And so, but what I'm saying is, when you're the captain, right? You got the crab pots, you got the engineer, you got the cook, you got, the maintenance guy. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts, right? But when it comes down to it and they finally can't make that decision, right? There's the captain. Well, like I said, I was that same, sitting in front of the attorney with my business partner, and the attorney's going, business partners typically don't work out. Man, we're cool, we're good, like your statistics suck. Well, he was right. So as time went on, I found out, hey, I'm the go-getter. And the business partner is kind of, let's say he wants to work 9 to 2. You know what I mean? That's what he wants to work. And that starts building and it starts grinding when you're the guy that's, 6 to 8, you know what I mean? 6 in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. It starts grinding. It doesn't seem like it at first, but my recommendations, like if I was to come in somewhere, I would not want to be the captain. My good buddy, best friend, he literally works for a bank now and he's been in management. And he tells me, he says, "Hey," he says, they asked me to run a branch for him. And he goes, "I don't want to." He goes, "I don't want that responsibility." He goes, "I've been in management. I know how hard it is. I know the sleep you lose. I've learned a lot from being in it. You know what I mean? It's not easy. It's not undoable, but it's not easy. But when you can go into it with more knowledge, we didn't have this. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have YouTube. I didn't have nobody to go to. I just went in, did something. Oh, screwed that up. Lost money. Dang. You know what I mean? Come back, try again, and just had to keep swinging. Ah, that was that was the terminology. I figured. Let's do service a door. Yep, that's what I'm thinking. That's what he's saying. I think on there. Replacement of all moving parts. Ooh, pay is commission. And yes, Stanley Steamer is exactly the same. We had a few guys come over from them. So okay. Yeah, that's what I kind of figured, I mean, I wonder, if Mr. Kingsman's still here. I wonder if they do you have to go through any kind of like so long of training? Is it kind of mandatory or is it just kind of like they kind of go with like he knows kind of what he's doing. This guy came from Stanley Steamer. He's already knows the sales pitch. We just got to run him for a month or two to train him on the door stuff, and he can go out on his own. Or is it like, nope? There's a criteria where we say you must be doing it for a year with another person, and then you have the chance. We'll determine that at that time, because um, I don't know if anybody worked for Stanley Steamer. I don't know what's I don't know what's really dangerous about that. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of like carpet cleaning. That doesn't seem, like flooding somebody's house. I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit of caveat to it. Don't get me wrong. You could do some damage, but I'm trying to think like garage doors. Hello. Like I'm thinking about winding springs, smashing in the face, dropping a winding bar, it hits the car. Like cars need to be outside. Um, that's what I should do. Somebody should sign me up. I should do it I should do a what is it, like the undercover boss, but I'll do like undercover garage door owner or something like that. That's what I need to do. That's what I need to do. That'd be cool. That would be cool. I'd love doing that. Bring like a little TV. I got a couple kids. They can do it. Just have them come and be like, "Oh, they're just filming me. They're just going to promote. Don't worry." And be like the guy that's sitting there and be like, "I don't know. How do you wind a spring? Do you like use screwdrivers? Right? Phillips probably worked pretty good, right?" I remember a guy. I think he was doing drugs, and he knew I did. He knew where I lived for some reason. I don't know how, but he comes down to my house and he's like, "Hey man," he goes, "I need you to like wind up this garage door spring. It's just not working right." So I get to this job site and I'm already just like not in a good mood. I'm just like, so I get there and I'm like looking at it, and all of a sudden is like one of his buddies or something, right? He's like, yeah, he goes, "The only thing wrong with that garage door," he goes, "the reason it's not running," he says, "because he can't wind it up enough." And I go, "Well, why is he? He goes, "You see that flathead screwdriver, and that's he's already had it pop out 3 times. Darn near hit him, and made him bleed. Blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Jeez, all right, not a problem. I got this." And I didn't even want to touch the door. Didn't even want to touch the door because like you ever notice like when you're doing garage doors, you start getting your tools out, right? And all of a sudden it's like detective comes out of you. You kind of like, what's that smell? Is that poop? Or is that cat pee? Or is that human pee? I don't know. And then you like look other places, you're like, what the heck is going on with that bottom bracket? What's up with that cable? Jeez, the rollers. Come on, guys, they're numbered. And they put them all like in the number one spot, right? The hinge part. There's a reason there's a step to it, or they got them all mismatched, or the hinges are upside down, and you're like, back hangs are all just floppy joppy. I mean, and now you're like, what do I do? Like, I really need to tear this whole door right back down. You know what I mean? But you don't want to tell them that. They don't want to pay that. It's like that's one of those ones, like I said, I should have just said, dude, I don't go out in the field. I'm a pansy. I don't even know what the heck I'm doing. I just run the office. Yeah. And so all my guys, they're out of state for like 2 years. I mean, yeah, I got a big job, big job. They're working for McDonald's because they got a lot of garage doors. Don't you know? Oh yeah, yeah. You know, I mean, that's where I should have just went with it. But I just, oh man, I'll come down. I'll come down and take a look at it. I don't know if he even tried. He probably tried to pay me, and I was like, don't even pay me, because I look at it and I go, you pay me? That's like ultimate. Like when it fails, you can be like, man, I paid that guy $40, man, and he didn't even. I'll call him back, man. Where it's like, whoa, and I can be like, I didn't even charge you, dude. Like I didn't charge you. Like there's no, I'm not coming back to this. Like that's your customer. You go figure it out. All right, let's see here. Corrects me out. Say replace all moving parts. We had a few guys come over. Yes, correct salesman. Zach talked, man. There's a lot of good to be had and a lot of bad to avoid. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Overhead garage doors like your channel. Good, good. I don't think I've seen you on here before. Is it Dynamo? Dynamo. Or is it Dynamo? Oh, that's the whole thing. It says Dynamo overhead garage doors. Well, welcome. I'm glad you enjoy it. Like I said, glad you're here. It would be cool to have a meeting somewhere. Ooh, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? How are we gonna do that? Whereabouts are you? It says meeting somewhere. You can also shoot good content. What do you think? Hey, I'm always game for whatever. I was dealing with one guy for doing I think he does a podcast, and I said, "Hey, let's meet up." And I think it's like I don't know, he just does the podcast part. He said, "Oh, I'm not in, like in the state or something." And I was like, "Well, I mean, as long as you're not like California. I mean, not that I have a problem going to California, because I'd like to go meet that one dude, that SOS guy, in that nicer weather. Get away a little from these, the cold." But yeah, wouldn't that be cool? They'll do like undercover, go into like a precision, or nobody said anything about ProLift. I don't know if anybody's heard of ProLift. I don't think nobody's heard of ProLift. Oh yeah, look, see, let's see even the screen. I was trying to do something for you guys, but it didn't really work out yet. I'm still working on it. So I was doing a screen behind me. 36 degrees. Burr. Burr. I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy. We're above freezing and some of this snow has melted off, because we were dying. We were dying. We got so much snow in such a short period of time, and the roofs. And I know there was some trees and stuff because all the stuff just got warmed, and it was a mess. It was like you might as well just shut down for 2 weeks. Thank goodness none of the guys gotten in any accidents or nothing severe, because sometimes, just like I said, when that weather gets like that, either you basically, stay at the shop, clean up, clean the shop or something, or do a local job. If you got that option, do PMs are good for that, preventive maintenance. It says, oh, what does it say here? Yeah, it says meet. I'm always like interested. I'm like, how do these guys read comments? I always try to keep the thing on it so I know where I'm kind of at, but it seems like it never holds up. Technically, training was typically 6 weeks. Oof. Right along, and they would put them in a truck. This is me. I honestly, it took me a year just to start kind of understanding, right, how the garage doors kind of functioned. You know what I mean? Like the springs always threw me. I was like, what? Like when they tell me, they go, well, right hand's really a left hand. I'm like, huh? And when I watch them wind the springs, and I was just like, how does that magically work? Like I'm so confused, right? And so it seemed like it took me a year. Now I don't know if it took me a year because I was also running the business, and I was, secretary, I was everything, salesman to yada yada guy, yeah, we'll do it, yeah, or um, but it felt like it took me a year just to understand the concept. I didn't even feel like at a year, like I could walk up and I'd be like, "Pff, I got this." You know what I mean? Like, hold my beer. You know what I mean? I didn't feel that way. I felt like at least I understood the concept, but I'd have doors that would go crooked and stuff like that. That I was like, oh, I got it. Holy crap! The weather seal, the cables wrapped around the outside of the weather seal, and like, or what the really fun ones are when the door is up and the spring will come, the spring pad itself, the wood board will come off the wall and get jammed. How the heck do you, especially if you're by yourself, if you had like two extra guys with you, no big deal. You pop the cables or whatever you got to do, or you have somebody, but those ones are a doozy, man. I've been up there trying to, get the spring pad back up, trying to, with your hands in like a death trap, basically. So real pain in the butt. I tell you what. Um, but I felt like at 5 years, honestly, 5 years is what it felt like for me. I think it was 5 years. I don't know if it was three, but I think it was five. After 5 years of doing it, I felt like I was the man. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, whatever. We come across these huge commercial doors, and I was like, and then I have guys up there, right? They're like yanking on the track, doing something they shouldn't be doing. I'm like, yo, don't you do that. I'm like, that door will come down and kill you. I literally watched a door come down on my business partner. I don't even know what he was thinking, but he was doing something that was an old wood door, had glass in it. And I watched him in the corner of my eye, and I thought, he knows what he's doing. He's done this before. And I watched that door come right out of that track and everything, and just pow, man, it went right down. And he went right down, you know, like a domino. And I mean, I thought he was dead. I really did. I was like, oh my gosh. I ran over there, and now I got the door kind of partially on my shoulder. I'm down on the ground a little bit too. I ran around, I picked it up. Luckily he made it, but he was hurt. And of course, now he's, it's like, do I take you to the hospital? Do you need to go home? And he's like, I think I could just, I just got to sit in the van. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And of course, now I got to take this wooden door that's on the ground, all, take it all apart by myself. Oh, I've been there. That's why I always tell people, don't get hurt. I've had guys before and they're swinging hammers and stuff. I'm like, please just take a break. Don't get hurt. Because if you get hurt, that's more work for me. And you get hurt, you know what I mean? And don't want you to get hurt, because just that's not good, because we don't know how bad it's going to be. And we don't want you permanently hurt, or, little pain's okay, a little here and there, but not too much. So we typically, yes. And then it says, what do you got here? He says, we had a lot of callbacks. I picked it up quickly, but a lot of people don't. And I think that's very true. I think, it's some people kind of have that mechanical skills and the desire to learn and the willingness to make phone calls and know when they're in a bad spot. That makes a huge difference. It really does. When people are willing to, you know, stop what you're doing and say, I know I'm in a bad spot, and almost like to man up, you know what I mean? Like, to not be embarrassed, you know what I mean? And that's a good thing to do. I mean, it's a good thing to make, have questions, and I'd rather somebody do that than just like that one video I made a while back where the guy like ripped off one of my workers, where he rips off the metal and he thought that was okay. And it's like, dude, you can't rip off the metal off the like, why would you do that? Why would you, like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, how could you even consider that to be okay? And you're going to leave it because you just need to put the weather seal on. I mean, that's right there. That's why you got to go. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that kind of stuff. I mean, and you'd be amazed if you have to ever hire people and stuff. I mean, just the willingness, right? Positive attitude goes a long ways. And and long as they don't have to learn, some people learn real fast, some people learn kind of slow. But long as they're trying and they're learning and they got a positive attitude and they're upbeat, they show up. That's the biggest thing, right? They do their job. They try to do it the best that they can. Oh man, that makes life so much better, because nowadays we don't have the people with the old plaid and the work boots and a cooler and a cigarette hanging out with a ball cap going, what do you got? You need that done? I'll do it. You need that done? I got this. We just, I mean, I see so many guys. I've had guys I've hired. I don't even think I don't know, I didn't really hire these guys. These guys were kind of like, grunts just for doing labor. And I remember they this dude could not start a gas powered concrete saw. I mean, he just could not figure this thing out. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what is, like, has he never ran a power equipment? And the guy, I think he's a little bit older than me. And I'm like trying to, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, well, he basically, he lives off the government. He doesn't really own a house. He lives in a house, but lives in upstairs. So he's not like he's not the one cutting the grass. He's not the one that's running a weed whacker. And so I finally I'm like, hey, let me help you, right? And that's why, like, almost in a nutshell, I never thought I would really appreciate electric powered equipment, right? I was like, I'll never use a electric leaf blower. That's stupid. I mean, I kind of had that philosophy in my head, and when you started having work, it's like you go here, push the trigger, and when it stops, take battery out, put battery on charger, grab one on battery charger, take out, put it in leaf blower. Got it? Pull trigger. And there's just a lot of beauty into it. You know what I mean? And that was one of them right there, right? Because it's just now it's like there's no excuses. Hey man, this thing won't start. Hey man, this thing got flooded out. Hey man, I don't, and you got to tear this thing apart, find out what's going on. There's so many things. And hey, personally, I like them too. They're kind of convenient, little electric chainsaws, stuff like that. They are convenient. I mean, there's a lot of convenience, but sometimes the stuff does fail because it's got more electronics in it. But if you make enough money, because that's what y'all about, make all the money, and you can just buy another one, right? No big deal. I always tell the kids, I said, hey, think about it. I said, if you're making $1 million a day, I said, would you ever probably change the oil in your car? Nope. I just go buy a new car. I just give this one to my neighbor or something. I mean, what I mean? Like, sometimes it's not always about saving, which is not bad, right? But sometimes the making, right? You make more money, you could spend, you know what I mean? Like, think about those celebrities. Ooh, big money. Let's see. It would be techno training was typically 6. Yes, it says we had callbacks. Yes, all the guys are out town. What? Been like that? Oh, my guys are out for 2 years. I love it. Oh man, I used to. You guys can use this too if you want. This little trick. So there's two of them. One, I go to these shopping places, right? You go to Family Farm and Home. I don't really try to do Tractor Supply anymore. Once in a while, they'll catch me there, but it's just, they got their whole feminism thing or whatever they're doing, all their weird stuff, right? Try not to support that. Anyways, but you go into these, you go to Sears. There ain't no more Sears. Go into Kmart. Oh, there ain't no more Kmart. Go to Walmart. Okay, Walmart. I don't go to Walmart. I don't know. I don't go anywhere. Anyways, so what you get people always, hey, you want to sign up for a card? And I'm like, no, because I know there's a gimmick behind it. And unless it's a big enough purchase that maybe it's going to save me the 10% or something, right? They always normally a 2% or something, some bull crap. That's not even, I used to have a wallet when I was so hardcore into, I did the roofing, I did garage doors. My wallet was like, I couldn't even sit because it just had so many stupid cards in it. And I tell them, I said, I don't want, but it's going to save you, blah, blah. And then they kind of caught me on one. The one lady, I told her, I said, this is what I do. They go, would you like to sign up? And I go, no. I just look at them playing. I go, no. I go, I said, the business owners, I said, it's for the business. I said, and the business owners, I said, they're millionaires. They're millionaires. They don't care. Or if I I just tell them, I say, they'll pay me back the money. I said, they don't care. And that normally shuts them down, right? That normally shuts them down because they're like, oh, well, I, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, nowadays I probably got to say they're billionaires, right? Because millionaires aren't even that much nowadays because the government's got how many trillions. So millions is like nothing. That's like $100 bill now. But you just tell them, and they know it. But this lady, right? She got me. She goes, the one thing she did say, she goes, oh, she goes, that's okay. She goes, because you can still get the points. And I'm like, I go, I'm not interested. I said, I don't want no points. I said, so I got to come up with a little bit like, I don't do that. I don't play their game because I worked for one day, I worked for what do you call it? A mattress firm place. The attitude and everything sucked. And I worked for him for one day, and I remember the guy was using, right, he would use the company card, right, for the fuel of the truck, but then he was taking the points, right? I'm not saying it's like good, bad, or indifferent. I don't think I see a huge problem with that, but it was like, dude, you're getting points off the company. He put his card for rewards. And like I said, I'm kind of but that's why I also just look at it like it just takes that out of there because that's one less thing I want to listen to from another employee that's like, you know, Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy's putting a rewards card in there. So he's getting points or getting rewards, but I'm not. But I got to ride with him every day with his crappy attitude and his crappy music. Yeah, I just don't think that's fair. And I'd be like, oh my God. That's why I just do a fuel tank. And we buy in bulk, we save, you know, you fill up at the shop. We don't travel that very far like we used to because we got a tight knit system and it just everybody's happy. you know, because I guess some guys that found out like the fuel cards are like they think they need windshield wipers or something. And sometimes they did or whatever. And they, this thing can buy windshield wipers. And it's like, dude, please don't buy that because now it's going to be a bill and then it's going to go either to the secretary or to a wife. And it's going to be like, why is there windshield wipers on this fuel bill? Like, what is, and it's like, well, I think that was his truck, but that day he didn't have the card. The card was in the other truck because I guess they lost it or the other one guy took it home. It just becomes a rat's nest. Uh, so it says we have picked up quickly 2 years. Guys are out 2 years. Yeah, the 2 years. That's right. Oh, I forgot. Number two. Number two. So when we worked for Lowe's, I get these guys that call all the time, right? And it always really irritated me because my time is limited. And so you're sitting there, right? You're doing estimates, you're looking at computers, you're typing up stuff, and these people would call and they go, "Hi, would you be interested?" Blah 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 blah. And you're like, "Oh my gosh, no!" Or they have some good tagline that catch right. And I always tell them, I say, "Well, here's the thing." They always tell me this whole spiel before I could even interrupt. And I would say, "Here's the thing." I said, "We can't take no more work." "What do you mean? You can." Everybody always wants more work. And I would say, "We're booked out for 2 years." I said, "We have a contract with Lowe's." I said, "So we do all their work." I said, "Yeah." I said, "We're booked out like 2 years." Oh, man, you just start hearing them sound like a misfired VA. Like, what are you going to say now? What are you going to say now? What do you got? Because I'm 2 years out, dude. Like, I don't really need more work. Okay. We're drowned in here. And I'd like tease with them or something like, hey, I was like, since you're on the phone, I'm like, you need a job? Because like we need another, and they're like, oh, well, anyways, successful to your business. Cheers. I hope you have a good day. We'll maybe call back next year. Maybe put this one on the do not call. Yeah. I mean, it was great. I loved shutting them down that way because it was like I hated, yeah, I could hang up on them, right? But then they might call back. I think we got disconnected. Jeez. And then sometimes the systems are getting so good. Like Google was one of them they would call right from a local phone number, right? Before it was always like you're like, oh, that's a scam. That's some 888 number, whatever. I ain't answering that, but now they got a lot smarter and then the numbers would rotate. So it seemed like if you stop the person either puts it in their queue or they're the ones that does that regional area that would stop them. So I always like doing that. That just make them go bye-bye. Oh, look at Mr. Tony. I was just thinking Tony's the one that's got the wrench. He's got the power of Thor. Dino overhead. Thanks. Sounds like GDS garage door service pro lift. That's funny. GDS, we got a GDS, but I don't think they're any kind of franchise. The one that's around us, we they do. Um, they're just a local. I at one time I was talking. I met the business owners. Um, I don't even remember what it was, but we were at like a hotel, their banquet hall or whatever, and we were talking about they wanted to get out. I was actually going to buy their business, but they already had another guy that was transitioning the like cousin or something that was taken. So I didn't really want to beat that drum too hard because at the time I knew they had a business, and sometimes for some of you guys, it might be a good opportunity too. If you don't maybe want to start from scratch it might be something you want to consider. You might just want to go around and bang on some doors, or like I said, shoot an email off to some people that um, maybe want to get out of the business and they've been around. Because some of them, we had one here in town. This was a few years back. Um, all of a sudden, I started hearing the guy was, he wasn't doing it anymore, and I'm thinking, Are you kidding me? I mean, he was one of those guys that was from probably his family, right? And this is how this stuff goes. But his family started, I think it was right about 1950. You know what I mean? So they had such deep roots. I mean, they literally had metal placards that they'd rivet into the door. And these were nice metal placards. I mean, they were so nice you could make a belt buckle out of them. And I remember they were just everywhere, right? And we would tear out a lot of doors, right? Because now there's a lot more competition. And then come down the road, the family, something happened. One would branch off. One was an uncle. One was this, and so they branched off. There was like, I think it was like A1 or something garage, and then there was the Shepherd. I think was one was called, and then one guy was an ancestor of it. But anyways, this one guy turned down into basically he was a one man band, and he worked out of a van. One man band. He worked out of a van. I gotta see another T-shirt made. And I remember the guy that I was working with, right, always told me about this guy. He goes, "Oh man," he goes, "Oh, his name. I don't want to say his name, but it started with a G, and so we'll call him Mr. G." So Mr. G goes, "Oh yeah," he goes, "Mr. G." He goes, he says, be walking out of like a gas station. He says he's got a 12 pack, or I think no, it was a 6 pack. Yeah, it was a 6 pack. He says he always got a 6 pack, and he's got it between his legs. I'm like, yeah, and I'm kind of like doing like, yeah, okay, whatever, sure. And I kid you not, I seen him down at a little grocery store we had in town. And he was walking out. What he have in his hand? A 6 pack. And I watched him as I was still traveling because it's a big parking lot. I'm watching him like, no way. And he gets up in that van and he puts it right between his legs. And I was like, I will be darned. I would have never believed it unless I seen it. I was like, he does drink. And I was like, he must be drinking and driving and all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, I think he kind of ran it down basically in the ground, which is understandable with that kind of whatever's going on. And he literally he just quit one day, right? He's out. And I was so disappointed because I thought, oh my gosh. And I was like talking to other people. I'm like, did he like sell the number? And they're like, no, he just closed. And I'm thinking, oh man, that's a bummer because he had so many stickers out there that that people never still interacted with the new guy or whoever and didn't know what kind of stuff he was doing, that they still would have called that number on the door. There were so many stickers out there. And that's why it's important for you guys too. I would say one of the first things that's a very important thing when you're just getting into it, right? Anything you're doing, make stickers. I literally was taking when I started out, I was literally taking business cards, right? Just paper business cards that I had, and I was taping them, right? I'd take clear tape and I would tape them to the door. That's all I had. You know what I mean? And then I finally found a sign guy or whatever it was. They were like a print shop that did stickers. And I finally got the one stickers made. And then I found out I got a little more clever, right? I found out if you do bigger stickers, it covers up your competition. Who would have thunk? So I did bigger stickers, but I also what was important is I would do my who was the installer. And normally I just did initials, like, and if I had another guy with me, I'd put his initials on it too. So I would do installer. I did what was done, right? Was a broken spring replaced, oiled, blah blah blah, and then I put a date. I can't tell you how helpful that was because it was something to always look back on when you go back. It's really cool to see your sticker, and then maybe if it's got your initials on it, because it'll automatically tell you like what kind of quality work was done, right? Like you look at it and go, okay, well, it's got my initials and it's got this other guy. He was normally the guy that did the openers, I did the door or whatever. Yeah, he wasn't the best, he was pretty green. He was always cutting corners. I know what he always nicked the wire with the staple gun. Let me check where that staple is. I bet there's a staple somewhere because he never used the round staples and he always pushed way too damn hard. So you can learn, you can see things. And I loved it because you get customers, right? And I wouldn't know. I don't have all this stuff in front of me, right? All the paperwork or whatever. You get there, right? And the customer's like, well, I just can't believe this spring already broke. I mean, this thing's only like 2 years old. And you're like, man, it's only 2 years old. Like, yeah, spring shouldn't break in 2 years. So you look at the date, you're like, man, this thing's 11 years old. And you're like, ma'am, hey, come over, take a look. We installed this back in, whatever, 2000 something, and you're like, oh, geez, I thought it was not that long ago. once you start doing so many doors, you don't remember, but that sticker is key. You know what I mean? And the sticker there for them to also see what, what was done, and helps the next guy. If it's an employee down the road, it helps yourself, right? Oh, we did springs. Oh, I always do plus oil. That's how I put on there. It also lets me know that I oiled everything down. Just some little helpful tips on that. But I would say your stickers are definitely um, really helpful. Like I said, those would be the first thing I'd be really looking hard. You know, um, all the other stuff don't even matter. I don't even care so much about don't take legal advice or anything from me, but like the insurance and all that crap, just get out there, start doing it, start cracking the whip. You know what I mean? You do something, man up to it. Be smart about it. Try to get the car out, whatever, have them park, don't let your vehicle be leaking in the driveway, use caution, just get out there and start hustling, get her done. How are your profit? I don't know. Profit margins can be all over the place. I've never found a set, like, this is always where you got to be. We use we use on the calculator, we use like the margins, and the only thing, cuz see, I think in our industry, right, it'd be a hell of a lot easier if we were selling stuff out the door. And maybe at some point you can, because you'll see the benefits of it. But if the problem is that we travel, right? So it's, and then you got your competition. And then you got the box stores, right? I used to get guys all the time, they're $100 cheaper to buy a garage door, at Menards, and or Lowe's or Home Depot, whatever you got, right? Oh, it's $100 cheaper than what you guys, blah blah. And I'm like, look, here's the thing, what you're forgetting. Let me educate you, customer. Which obviously I do this in a polite manner. For you guys, I get a little hostile about it, but I tell them, I'd say, look, I go, you forgot that doesn't come with weather seal. That's not upgraded rollers. That's not better hinges. That probably comes with a stupid extension spring. So yeah, it's $100 cheaper, but you're also like, oh, well, I didn't really blah, 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 and some people just don't even care. They're just there to complain and still leave. And they're going to go buy that door, and I tell them, I'd always say, and then look at it this way. I say, so you save $100. I go, okay. I go, so you save $100. My service call, I think when people were coming in kind of doing that when we had the shop, was like $85. Our service call was 65 at one time when we first started out. Now it's like $85. And I tell them, I say, look, I said, that door, I said, I got to come. I said, my door, I said, yeah, it's $100, but I'm going to warranty this door. I said, because I know the product. And I'd say, so, but by the time you do something, I got to come out there and work on this. I said, you're going to pay me $85. $85. Come out here, no matter what. That is not my door. It's not my product. It's $85. And so, and then if I got to come out a second time, ooh, now you're over, aren't you? You see what I'm saying? So people just sometimes they're just not that, they don't understand it. And I was one of them at one time too. I remember I got upset. I had a fridge, right? This was kind of this was when I was younger. My fridge is making a noise. It's making a rattle, and it don't sound too healthy, right? And all of a sudden, it pukes out, right? Wife's telling me, fridge don't work. All our stuff's gonna go bad, right? Oh my gosh, panic. And so I remember I called this company, and they really turned me off, right? And that's just how the phone can do something, right? And they didn't educate me, and they were kind of snotty about it, because I said, hey, I said, I need to make a service call. I said, my fridge isn't working. I said, I need somebody. And they go, okay. They go, well, where'd you buy the fridge? And I said, oh, well, I bought it at Best Buy. And they go, we don't work on it. And I'm like, huh? Like, you guys offer service. You're like a local home ma pa shop, like, I want to give you, yeah, we don't service it. Sorry about your luck. If you want to buy one, we sell them, but we don't service them. And I mean, just kind of real dringy like that. And I was like, mother stinkers, step up that boo, boo, boo. Like, I'll never. But then about 3 or 4, maybe I'd say about 3 or 4 years later, right? All of a sudden a light bulb kind of went off my head. And I said, damn, I said, they were onto something, right? Because it really started out from that customer that we installed their garage door opener, right? And my technician, good technician, he installed it, right? But you still have these mysteries, right? You're like, so now the opener doesn't work. Well, now he's got to take the opener back down. He's got to collapse this opener back into a box. And then he's got to like give it back to the customer and say, I guess we got to come back. And now do you charge again? You know what I mean? And then when that next one comes in, what if that one's faulty too? Where if they would have just bought it from us, right? He would have just took the opener he just put together and just chucked it in the back of the van, would have ran back to the shop, grabbed one that he's consistently done these ones. So there's no excuse for him not to know how to do this, right? He's done hundreds of these. And he would have went and installed it. The customer would have been happy. There's no like grief. We'd have to, make a warranty call if we want to, or we just kind of eat it, or maybe we use it as a discount, but it just kind of cleans that up, right? But if it's when it's somebody else's product, it gets a little gray. Now, some of you guys starting out, like I said, if you got, I think it comes down to time. If you got more time than money, then my golly, go ahead. You know what I mean? Just go ahead and install, the customers provided. Sometimes it's nice, right? Because you don't have to have that upfront money. You don't have to deal with a vendor and then get a lemon and then call them back and say, hey, I bought this one opener. And they go, you bought one opener? Yeah, we're used to people like that buy skids, and I used to be one of those guys too, right? We kind of had a vendor, we use onesie twosie. Well, we're kind of the ones now. We buy skids, and about every skid, you're probably going to get about anywhere from 1 to 3 openers. That's bad. That's just about the average, it seems like. And sometimes you don't know if it's the technician. I had one guy one time. He's like, "Oh, we got 2 bad ones." Blah blah blah. Right, they're installing at a apartment place. They were doing 5 of them. Well, I found out later that 2 of them got dropped. They dropped them off a ladder. You know what I mean? They got smashed. And I'm like, well, no wonder they didn't work. And so there's just a lot of caveat, but profit margins, biggest thing, like I said, is you start feeling it out. I've sat down with numbers so many times, and I've spent many countless nights uh, with the wife fighting, and about, well, this is what it's got to be. This is what the numbers are, and I said that will not fly. You cannot sell it for that. I know, and I would know because I would talk to builders, or I would talk to the customers, and I would know what they would charge. Right? I was like, I know these companies are going to make $300 to $600 per door, right, on this job, and because there's multiple there. So when you get multiple, sometimes your numbers go down versus just one, because you're already at the job, you already got your tools. So my biggest thing, what just to help you guys out, my biggest thing was I always get your cost. Always, that is one thing that you cannot change, you cannot fudge with, because depending on what you're doing, I would literally always, like, if you got your fuel, like residential, I didn't really get too finicky about that, especially when it was somewhat close. But I would do it with like commercial, jobs. Like I'd factor in, because typically they might not be that close. So okay, well, we're not going to get it done in a day. There's 3 doors there, whatever, bigger doors. There's only 2 of us. We can average, we can normally get one done a day, doing a good job, not rushing, blah blah blah. But if we stay, well, the guy I work with, he doesn't really want to stay. He likes working just this between this hours. So there's parameters, right? And so you have to kind of figure that out. But with the cost, right? You figure your fuel, you figure what you got to pay your helper, what you're going to pay yourself, what the product cost, right? I always wanted those numbers, because I always look at it like I can't mess with those. So if somebody comes back to me and they go, well, I got somebody that could do it for, $1,000, and I go, my cost alone, by the time I pay, like, I can't, I buy the door for $1,200. And I've had that happen, right? Where sometimes you find out that if you're buying doors through a certain vendor, I didn't realize this, but it's like ABC, right? You might be on the C pricing, which is another 20 to 30% higher than what the guy on the A pricing. So I had at a point in the business, I was going to customers, and I got sick of being told from the customers, they go, you're like $100 or $200 higher than the other guy. And I was just sitting there, and I'm like, how is this? I'm like, I got the lowest overhead. I mean, the other guy, he's got a building, he's got all this stuff. I'm sitting there and I'm going, how is that? How can I can't even I can't even do that. Like I do it at cost. And so finally, I decided to call another vendor and come to find out this other vendor, typically they they I don't know how to say it. I don't know, they're a hooker, right? Whatever. They're cheap. I don't know. They did it for like $200 cheaper. I mean, like on a 16 by 7 garage door. So you know what I'm saying? So like sometimes your cost, right? So it's like, could you think about like if you're competition, right? Let's say they could buy gas for 50 cents and you're buying gas for $5. I mean, that'd be a huge help for you if you could buy gas at 50 cents, right? So I always just always take your costs, especially when you're starting out. And the biggest thing is, um, you got to find ways to play with those numbers. And um, if you, so like if I was starting out, you know what I would do? I would literally I'd probably have the customer. I'd start working with somebody either like Lowe's or Home Depot. I'd go in there and I'd start feeding them. I'd start filtering them out. I'd say, hey, I go, all right, what do you guys offer? Okay, here's a door. Can you give me a brochure? Can you give me some literature? Whatever, right? And then what I would do is I'd modify their doors. I would say, okay, so they got a door here. They sell these really crappy silent glide rollers. They don't even have they don't even have roller bearings in them. They're just plastic on metal. So what I would do is I'd go in there and find out what the upgrades are. You know what I mean? And start using all that as like a price sheet. And I'd probably either have a customer that I would say, hey, like go to Lowe's or Home Depot, and I would say go tell them this is what you want. You know what I mean? So you're going to be in this ballpark, or maybe you could give them a price too, right? And then have them because this is going to take a lot of weight off your shoulder. Have them deliver, you know what I mean? So that way, and then see what happens now. A beautiful thing happens. There's 2 caveats, but you got more time on your hands, right? Supposedly. So you're gonna go to the job and you're gonna look at the product. Now you got to take this with a grain of salt because the delivery guys might just kind of chuck it off the truck. That could happen, right? But when you go there, you need to inspect that puppy real good, right? You need to look for any damages, any cardboard or whatever, something scuffed, look that thing over really good because, and then you need to take pictures. You need to have the customer come out and say, hey, look, I just want you to know there is damage on this. I don't know how far it went, or I'm going to open it up and take a look and they can live with it. Maybe they don't live with it. Maybe see what you're doing is you're having a salesperson work for you in a sense, right? Because now they're going to go in there and talk, right? You don't even have to have the secretary because now they're going to be talking to Lowe's or Home Depot, or whatever, and they're going to say like, "Hey, man, like, are you going to give me a discount?" And that's up to them, right? They're a big multi-million-dollar company. Have at it. You know what I mean? Like they want to give them $100 or $200 or $500 off, whatever it is. So be it. Or they go, well, what we can do is, have your guy install it or whoever, install it yourself, have them we'll send you a couple new sections when they come in, blah 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 blah, or we're gonna, now granted, like I said, you might have to, you know call it a day. You might have to, well, they want to return it. They just said they're going to either come pick it back up. It's not my gig. You have to take that with a grain of salt. But if you got that time, right, it sucks, but it just alleviates that from you, because now it's not like if you're just starting out, you're probably not gonna have garage doors sitting at your house, right? You're gonna order these. That's how I start. As onesie twosies. You order exactly what you need. You don't have any extra fluff. Maybe eventually you get like a 9x7 non-insulated or something, or a 16x7 non-insulated. 12-inch track or something just to stay low. You go that route. But there's a lot of things you can do to be really creative. And like I said, Jason was one of them. Um, that, like I said, he's doing 12x14s, and he's doing it out of a Chevy Spark. Think of a little, like basically like a Prius or whatever, like a Toyota Prius. My hat's off to him, man. That's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, he's making it happen. And he was doing multiple. So obviously somebody got him delivered there, right? And they had commercial openers. I mean, all he's got to do, he's got to show up with a bag full of tools, some power tools. You know what I mean? I don't know if he rented it or the customer did, but they had a scissor lift, and there is people out there always looking for a deal. It's just a big thing is just always remember that everything, to be a man or a woman, make sure, just make sure what you do, you honor. You know what I mean? At least for a couple of years, you know what I mean? 2 to 5 years or something like that. Always have that under your belt, that remember that, hey, if somebody calls and they got a problem, either help them or say, hey, look, I'm not, let me get you over this guy. He'll give you a really good deal. He can come out. I've already got a job. You can't do it during the day or something. Just remember, don't be that guy that, like, oh, well, he did it. Cause I had that happen one time. I went to a customer, threw me off my rocker. I go in there and I'm sitting there and writing up my estimate, right? I got more time to, do money, whatever. So I'm sitting there writing everything up. Yep. We'll get this for you. What size? Yeah. You want this kind of door? And I remember the guy, he goes, I already paid for this. And I'm like, wow, boy, how did you already pay for this? Like, I run everything. I'm the secretary. I answer the phone. I'm the guy out here doing the estimate. I don't tell you that, but if you pick up on that, I won't downplay it, but I'm also like, you already paid for this? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I already paid another garage door company in full. And he goes, they never showed up. Won't answer the phone. Won't do this. Won't do that. They're gone. They vanished. And once he told me who it was, I went, oh my gosh. I said, yeah. I said, I have heard bad things about them. And boy, that's really not cool. So now it put me in a bad situation too, right? I didn't even charge the guy at the time. We were typically getting half down, right? I didn't even charge the guy half down. I felt like, and that's just something I should have, that I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I just thought, I said, I can't even, like, I guess it wasn't a custom door. So I wasn't too, that's why I didn't charge him half down. If it would have been a custom door, I know darn well I would have said, no, 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 no. You got to pay me. And hey, this is going to be non-refundable type thing, because people will burn you on that kind of stuff. It was standard door. So I ordered it. Everything went fine. He paid. I felt bad. I really did. That was not cool. Mr. Rich B. I shouldn't say Richard. I don't know if that's his full name or not. It's good to see you. Cheers. Need a little sip myself. So what kind of oil? We use that Service Spring lube. I forget, they got one that's kind of a heavier lube. The one that's the clear lube, I like that one better for residential. I forget what it's called. I can't think of it, but if I had a couple cans, I'd show you. But I don't typically, the other lube, it's a little heavier. I found out it leaves like a yellow tint. And I noticed that typically with like new installs, you spray it, and if you don't wipe it and stuff like that, it really builds up a yellow look to it. You'll come back, a year or two or three, right? And you're like, ooh, like, man, door looks nice. But boy, that ugly looking yellow stuff looks really not so good. You know what I mean? So you can use, I know Cap has tried a couple different ones, but it seems like we just always revert back to, of course, with the old Service Spring, they had, unfortunately, they had, when the cough syndrome was going around, we couldn't get it. The stuff was on back order for like ever. And and something you guys might want to entertain down the road for yourself, if you're starting out, is get a Service Spring. If you order so much, I'm not, something on there that's your business. I think that's a really great idea. I never did it. But I think it's a great idea, because we had a guy that came in, and I remember he was selling oils of some sort, and I'm kind of like on the phone and like, whatever, here's a sales pitch, like, please just, go away. And he left me a can of oil, and this was years now, I still got that can. And I was really ready to call him when we were having oil problems, getting the stuff from Service Spring. I thought, and now the guy might have moved on. He might not even do it, but just that can, right? And you think about that with a customer, that can could sit into a garage, right? And then every time you just tell them, say, hey, once a year, go through and spray the hinges and the rollers and the spring and the bearings and stuff. That's just going to ensure that your door runs good for you and you get many years of operation. You know, but think about it too, because it might be something, a sales for down the road too, because they know that's the special oil that you gave them that's for this door. and they don't know any better, so they want to buy it from you. So that's a repeat. And that can, right? My can, I think, is darn near it's maybe got a quarter in it, but that sticker on that can, I still have it, right? But I've lost all these business cards. I've seen business cards. I've chucked them over the years. I see certain ones, whatever. I did not ever. And then all of a sudden, maybe a year or something later, oh crap, man, I wish But that darn guy with his can of oil has made it through the test of time. So that might be for your business too. Obviously, the sticker on the door is a no brainer, but it's just that can of oil. You don't know if that guy would take it when he ever, or woman too, if he ever moves, or it's just something that's so nice that they spray and they see your name and or maybe the sticker fell off, because I used to have really cheap stickers and I had to really like plead with them to stay on the door. Please stay, please stay. And, sometimes you get greasy surfaces or whatever, and they won't stick. Um, I'd bring Windex, try to clean it. Nice. Oh, what was this? It was a FVP penetrating oil, nice and thin. Ooh, doggies. Never tried that. Might have to try it out sometime. Like I said, check it out. You know, my big thing is always like, if you can get one that doesn't splatter too much, because it never fails. You always get up by the springs, right? Which I always just take a piece of cardboard or something and try to, especially if they got a nice, drywall, especially if it's like bare drywall, because it's just going to soak right on that puppy, and you're not, so they come out and they're like, how's it going? And you're like, oh, it's going good. Did you spray something up there? No, no, not me. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes a big old mess. Oh, Menards. All right. So we can get it at Menards. I might have to check that out. Like I said, how's it for color wise? Because when I think of penetrating, my first thought is always, I think of is it PP or BP Blaster, that bright yellow orange stuff that comes out. And so clear. That's good. That's good. And Menards. See right here. I mean, Rich is telling you, man. This stuff is great. You know, like I said, I always had this mindset that it's like, you got to get with the vendor, you got to, and yes, when you start growing and stuff, you'll see the positives of it. But for you guys that are like starting, you can get the oil from Menards, you can get it, I'm sure there's something you can get from Lowe's or whatever. There's so many things that I didn't even know myself. I was just buried in, oh, I got to get with this vendor, I got to do this. And all of a sudden I'm getting backlash, right? Or blowback, where it's like, well, my estimates are too high. You know what I mean? Well, like I said, you can buy these things from the store, the box stores, right? And you could tell the customer to go there. I still remember this lady, right? She was kind of a cheapskate. And I remember her husband came out and they had it was an extreme. I think it was extreme garage door opener from Menards. And he's like looking at it with me, and I'm like, oh, like, why did they have to buy an extreme? They sell Chamberlain there. Please, please, Lord, what did I do? What did I do so wrong? And he goes, yeah, he goes, I was talking to the guy that works there, and he I think it was $20 or $40. This one was cheaper. He goes, well, this is extreme. He goes, this was, $20 or $40 cheaper. He goes, and the guy told me, he says it's made by the same place. I'm like, I don't know what they sold you. They were just trying to make a sale. That's not whatever. So of course I installed it. And of course, because they were reaching around the garage door, because their man door was broke, right? It was sealed shut because they had the boogeyman. This one had some kind of switch on it. I forget what the door or the switch was, but it would lock the darn thing out. And then they couldn't get the door to shut. So of course I remember I had to go back for a service call, and I was like, I ain't coming back here again. So I cut that thing out of there. I put a doorbell. That's what they used to have, was a doorbell. I thought, I'd be darned. Well, I see $20. It says it's made by the same company. You pull out the photo eyes. They just feel like a kid's toys from McDonald's. You're like, what the piece of crap? If I pull too hard, I mean, this is the same kind of wire I used to use for my bread, to tie up my bread, twisty tie. And it was just, oh man. And then I remember one we had, what was it? They had it sitting there. Now they did kind of honor it, but they had it. They bought a garage door a garage package, right? The whole garage. It was separate from the house. Well, part of it was a door and an opener. Well, the opener had been sitting around for a while, And I remember we installed the door and it's like, you got an opener? Oh, it's in the basement, whatever, oh my gosh, it's extreme. Oh, why? Why? What did I do so wrong? And so anyways, we install it. Well, right from the get-go, it's not working. And of course, this is where the caveat of installing other people's products in a sense, right? So I call their customer service. I finally get through. The people don't even know what really to say or what to ask for, and we're trying everything. So they're going to send us. I think it was photo eyes first. What I found out, it just came to me. The Extreme had problems with circuit boards. Imagine that. And so, anyways, we did the photo eyes. That worked, right? It wasn't even quite a year yet. They called me back. They said, "Hey, the thing quit working." And I'm like, "Oh man, it's probably the photo eyes again, whatever." So I go back. The circuit board's doing some weird glitched out thing. I'm like, it needs, it needs a circuit board. I'm like, and so now the good part, right? First, Extreme kind of took care of it, right? And they were like, "This is 3 years old," and I'm like, "I know it's 3 years old, but they haven't. They finally built their garage, like I'm telling you the truth here." And they're like, "Okay, well, I guess we'll warranty it out and send the photo eyes, whatever." Now the circuit board. Now they're not going to warrant. It's been over a year, whatever. And finally, I remember the customer. He just comes up to me. Thank goodness, bless his heart, right? He finally tells me. He goes, "Hey," he goes, "Look," he goes, "I'm sick of messing with this." He goes, "I just want my darn door to work." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Just install whatever you install." I'm like, "Oh, well, sir, we install the premium. We install LiftMaster." And at the time, LiftMaster had a good product, and so we installed the LiftMaster and never heard from the guy again. Hmm. That was kind of a bummer. Can't make no more money off him. We don't hear from him again. But it was the point of not having to go back. It was great. Obviously, it was a good product. So see, boys and girls, that's kind of why sometimes a garage door business isn't rewarding, because if you do a good job, you don't get to come back. So I'm joking. It's a caveat, right? You don't want to go back. It's free. It's gas time. You don't want to do bad quality. Mr. Ben says, "I only use silicone spray on PVC seals." Dwayne Dalton W40 on hardware. PVC sales on the seals. Like, what do you use that on the seals for? Do you use that for like the weather stripping? PVC. Or is that like for not extreme, but it's the easy torque or whatever it is, like the whole jimbos up there, the springs. That's PVC. I guess you could on the rails and openers because that's plastic basically. But man, Mr. Ben, talk about man. I only use silicone. Yes, my customers, they get silicone and WD-40, a very known, honorable brand. I'm just messing with you. That's awesome. It's good to use the right products. It's like I was just telling the kids the other day. I said, "Hey, you don't go pour water in the gas tank, right?" No. Well, there you go. That's why I use the good gasoline and all that kind of stuff. You got this kind of trying to explain to them about your health. You know, when you do all the other stuff, it's not good for you. I don't even touch them. Hey, whoa, whoa, Rich, you just settle down, okay? We're not trying to do Hulk Hogan here, all right? But I totally agree. I got a video out there. It's quite old, and I get a lot of flack. They don't understand. I didn't give enough description in the video, but people they're like, "Oh, the install," and I'm like, no, that wasn't the point. The point was that they bought an opener, they installed it themselves. They didn't know what they were doing. They did it wrong. I put the strut in a weird spot because it had a low headroom issue. I needed it to turn really quick. And far as I knew, the guy acted like, "We're not putting an opener on it." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, and very explicitly told him, I was like, "Hey, is like if you decide, like almost like hint, hint, like if you need an opener, like we'll give you a very good price on an opener. Like let us do it." You know what I mean? Because you're gonna screw it up. And of course, the cables and everything came off, and then he damaged the door with his opener. It was extreme, and they're tough. They're tough, man. They're just, I mean, not tough. Like they're just pain. So I don't blame them. I've had a couple customers. I had photo eyes. I mean, I remember somebody bought a set of photo eyes. I get there and they're like, "Will you install these photo eyes on Extreme?" And I'm like, "Oh," I'm like, "I probably ain't gonna fix it," because they had a lot at the time. We had circuit board problems. So sure enough, I didn't even screw with mounting them and stuff. I just mounted them right up to the head unit, and I'm like, "It's not even working." And he's like, "Well, I don't quite understand. It was working. Blah blah blah. They told me this over the phone." And I'm like, "Look," I'm like, "the photo eyes are right here. They're glitching, doing whatever they were doing. I forget what their symptom was, but I was like, you really just need us to install, one of our products." And then see what I've learned now is a lot of these manufacturers, right? All like, what was it? The wife, she said something the other day about a floor, right? She goes, I think it was a vinyl plank floor. We were in the rental or something. And she goes, they don't even make this anymore. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, it's not even like it's like 2 years, 3 years old. And she's like, yeah, they don't even like you can't even get this. This is color, whatever. And I'm like, huh? And I thought, yeah, those sons of biscuits. I thought, there's a whole system to this, right? It's kind of like with the openers. I remember I learned this when I went into Menards one time, and the guy seen my van, and he pulls up and he goes, "Hey, you do garage doors?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I got a Wayne Dalton opener." I said, "Oh man," I said, "those things are junk." And I mean, the guy just literally like his face just. I thought, "Oh man, he's gonna get out of the car and fight me." I was like, I shouldn't have said. And he goes, "You know what?" He goes, "The guy inside at the desk," he said the same thing, and he goes, he said, "That's why they don't sell them anymore." And I'm like, okay, like, okay, and then that's when it clicked, and I went, "Oh, I see what they're doing. They run this stuff for about 5 years, give or take, whatever, right? And then they discontinue it. So now the people that come in, they're like, hey, think of how much easier it is for their salespeople, right? Or the people at the counters, the kids that are running it, whatever, right? They're like, what are you talking about? We don't even sell Wayne Dalton garage door openers. We got these Extreme. Yes. They go through Extreme. They're so great, you know. And so now I know it's changed again. It's something like Master Force or something. Last time I was in there, they don't even have the Extreme anymore. So it's right here. Look at Rich got me. Me and Rich should just walk through Menards. We'll just do a little shopping spree. He's already got I think the Master Force. Yeah, the Master Force. I think the Master Force. Don't they sell like the hand tools like that too? It's called Master Force. I don't know if they're keeping the same color scheme, green. I thought I seen a green opener or something. I didn't look at it too hard. It didn't really get my attention. I should have looked at it harder just for educational purposes. But I was just at the store the other day, and I'm looking. They're doing something or whatever. This one's on sale or something, and I was literally looking at them, and I kept thinking, "Damn!" am I the only one that like openers? Garage door openers haven't gone up in price. What the hell? I thought everything else has. You know what I mean? Steel, this, roofing, wood, what, blah blah blah. And I'm like, the damn garage doors haven't changed in price. I thought, man, that really makes my job hard. Because like how it is, you go try to sell somebody a more, a better product, and you're like, you want what? 4, 6, $800 to install? I can go to the store for $189 and buy a damn opener. You're robbing us. And you're like, oh, you know, not really. You try to buy these from the vendors and stuff. And that's why you young bucks, if you're just starting out, like I said, sure, go ahead and you'll get one hell of an education. You know what I mean? You're going to learn all kinds of stuff. Some good, some bad. I remember when we were doing one, I think it was just one we just did through Home Depot. It might have been just our own customer even. And I remember it was an older guy. His wife just passed away. I felt bad, right? We installed this opener. It's on a bigger door. The door is like, gosh, it's like 18 by 8. It's a bigger door. He's got a topper or something on his truck. So he needs that extra height, whatever. Darn thing doesn't work, right? God darn it. So I call the manufacturer, blah, blah, blah. They give you a whole like, well, we can't send you a whole new head. We'll send you parts. Okay, well, this is what it's doing. They send the parts, right? We go out there, install it. It still don't work, right? So we try it one more time. They send us the parts. It don't work. Finally, I'm irritated because this has taken weeks. And this guy's already got a bad back and he's lifting the door up by hand. You know what I mean? The door is just a lugger, man. And I said, hey, finally my light bulb went off in my head. I said, hey, I said, you got the receipt for this? And he goes, yeah. And I go, good. I said, we're going to, so we tore it down the best we could. We didn't do a real good job. We just dumped it in the box. Right. And we said, we're going to take this back for you. I said, give me the receipt, please. And so we go down there. Right. And I'm already furious. Right. Because I'm the business owner, right? And so the guy that's working with me, it's not his fault or anything, but I'm trying not to fume, but I'm thinking this has cost me so much time, so much energy. I got so much more work I got to get done. So we go into the store and I said, look, I said, you know the situation. I said, I'm going to let you deal with them. I said, because I'm going to come off the hook if they say, oh, we can't, whatever. I mean, when I was green, we go in there and they look at it. Some lady, she don't even really care. Right? She goes, "Oh yeah, go ahead, go out back, grab one." Well, we go out back, and I feel like they quit making it or something of some sort. So, but I knew the one I wanted. They had like there was a genie that used to have the yellow head, or not the yellow, it was a gray and a black. And I said, I want that one. I said, I know that one, works most of the time. So I want that one. And the guy's like, "You're sure?" And I'm like, dude, don't even tell me. You don't do garage doors. Like, I'm like, don't even talk to me. So we end up getting it. We go up there, right? And it was like 20 or $40 more than what the other one was. And I thought, they better not just give us any crap. Like I was willing to probably pay for it. I was so irritated. And they just said, okay, you're all set. And I'm like, that was so much easier than dealing with calling the hotline and everything. Way better. So it's just something for you young bucks or anybody, like I said, just package that darn thing up, take it back to the store. Don't even deal with, like I said, just put a whole new head unit. Don't even screw with trying to replace the board, replace photo eyes. If you can't get it to work out of the box, just take the damn thing back. It's going to be faster, quicker, cheaper, everything. Don't even screw with it. I don't even screw with them nowadays. When we go up and we have a technician have a problem, I say, look, I said, just bring a head with you. Just swap it out. We'll bring it back to the shop. We'll figure it out. We'll chuck it. We'll discount it. We won't even do an RGA, on it. Cause it's just, people just it's just too much time and what you're paying people, and people supply their own, and it's a tape sealed box that had the switch. Oh man, redone. Man, I tell you what, those boxes, they can get pretty sneaky. My uncle, I shouldn't say that, you didn't hear that. Anyways, I just know people, let's just say, right? Not even him. People do some tricky stuff. You know what I mean? They'll package it back up. They'll take a part they need. So there's always that caveat to this stuff too. So you got to be, you got to maybe let them know when they go pick it up. Say, hey, make sure the package is good. Which still they can still package it, right? I can package stuff pretty good. You ain't gonna know. You know what I mean? Like I got the tools for stuff or whatever. You know, and a lot of people, they don't care in the front desk, right? They're not going to go through it. They don't even know what they're looking for, so you got to be, and that's why if you do take something back, you should almost just tell them there's something wrong with it. So they'll discard it. Don't just say, I just didn't need it. You know what I mean? And they return it and they'll put it back on the shelf. And then some guy might get it, which ain't good. So, but anywho, you guys, I'm going to hop off here. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, evening, night, universe. We'll talk to you in the next one. Thanks for being here. Mr. Kingsman, like I said, hit me up. I want to know about that precision. And like I said, you guys got anything, email me, shoot me, whatever some of you got my number. If you do, shoot me some pictures if you got something that's unique. I always like seeing things and all that. Stapled boxes. That's right. I don't have that. I don't have that stapler. Darn it. Guess I'm going on eBay tonight. All right, you guys. We'll see you later. Have a good one. Thanks for being here.